Alright, time to set up our virtual environment. Now, there are a lot of things that we must do. First, as we said, we must create a virtual machine that we're going to use. For that, we need the virtualization software and the operating system that we want to install. The operating system that we're going to use will be Kali Linux, as we previously mentioned. And also besides that, we will also need a virtual machine that will host vulnerable web pages that we can attack. And another way that we're going to practice will be through a website called TryHackMe. Now, this website does offer a paid subscription, but we're going to cover things that the website offers for free, just so we can include everyone inside of it. It has really good practice examples of website vulnerabilities. With the combination of vulnerable virtual machine and with practice examples on this website, we will cover most known and most common website vulnerabilities. Okay, let's first start off by downloading VirtualBox, which is the virtualization software that we will use, and let's also download our Kali Linux operating system. Let's start with VirtualBox first. To download VirtualBox, we want to navigate to the page virtualbox.org. It will lead you to this official page of the website, and if you want, you can read through all of these articles and about VirtualBox if you'd like, but right now we're going to see how we can download and install it. As it says, it has a big download button, so let's just click on it, and it will lead us to this page, which will offer us different platform packages based on which operating system you're running. As we can see, the current version is 6.1.18, and the current platform packages that they have are for Windows hosts, OS X hosts, Linux distributions, and Solaris hosts. Depending on your operating system, you want to choose which one you want to install. Since I'm running Windows on this machine, I will click on Windows hosts. It will ask me where it wants to download VirtualBox. I will just select desktop and click save. And as you can see, it will start downloading it right here. Since I already have it, I will just cancel this download. I already have it installed, so I'm not going to do that right now. And while it's downloading for you, let's navigate to the Kali Linux official website, which is at link kali.org, and let's see how we can download Kali Linux operating system. Okay, so we open up this page. It says the most advanced penetration testing distribution. And as with VirtualBox, it has this download button. Let's click on it. And it will lead us to the official download page. Now this downloads page offers the newest release of Kali Linux. Or should I say the newest official release, because you also have the weekly unstable and untested releases. We're interested in the official stable release. Currently, it is the Kali Linux 2021.1, and the new version of Kali Linux actually comes out pretty much every 2 months. So if you encounter a newer version of Kali Linux or a newer version of VirtualBox, feel free to download that one instead. Since right now the newest one is 2021.1, I will download this one. Now, we have quite a few options right here that we can choose from. We have the Kali Linux 64-bit installer, Kali Linux 64-bit live, and Kali Linux 64-bit net installer. As well, we have for Apple M1, we have Kali Linux ARM64 installer, we have the live and the net installer, and we also have for 32-bit systems. Now, if you're running Apple M1, you can go with this one. If you're running a 64-bit machine, you can go with Kali Linux 64-bit installer. And if you're in any case, which I doubt anyone will be running a 32-bit machine, but if you do, you can download Kali Linux 32-bit installer. Now, since I'm running a 64-bit Windows machine, I will go with Kali Linux 64-bit installer. If I click on this, it will once again ask me where I want to download it. I will select desktop and I will click save. You will notice that the size of this file is pretty large. It's 4 GB, so it will take some time. Now, luckily I already have it, so I'm just going to cancel this download. You just wait for both of your downloads to finish and then we can proceed. Oh, and by the way, you also have an option to download it over torrent if you'd like. It's completely up to you. Okay, awesome. Now, let's say that you have both of your files ready, if you don't just pause this video until your downloads are finished, and you should have these two files on your desktop. Let's go with installing VirtualBox first. So to do that, we can double click the installer file. It will open the welcome window. We want to just go next. So we want to go next here as well. And here you can uncheck some option if you don't like. I will just create a shortcut on the desktop and I will leave everything checked and click on next. And here we have a warning that says installing the Oracle VM VirtualBox networking feature will reset your network connection and temporarily disconnect you from the network. Proceed with installation now. So this pretty much says in case you're doing something important over the internet, make sure you finish with that first before installing VirtualBox. Otherwise you might have some internet connection problems during the installation. I will just select here proceed and I will click install. Okay, so here it asks for administrator password. Since I don't have one, I will just click here yes and it will install VirtualBox for me. This doesn't take much time. It takes maybe a minute or two depending on your system, and once it finishes it should open up your VirtualBox. And here is the finish window. We want to check Start Oracle VirtualBox and click on Finish. Let's wait a couple of seconds and here it is. This is the window of Oracle VirtualBox. Now let's do one more thing before we end this video. Let's see how we can create a virtual machine inside of VirtualBox. So this is the official window that we have. We have a couple of buttons right here. And here will be our machines that we currently don't have. So let's create one. Let's create our Kali Linux virtual machine. To do that, we want to click on this button that says New. Click on it. And it will ask us for a couple of information. Name of the virtual machine. And here let's say that we type Kali 2021. Here you can select the path where the machine folder will be stored. Here we select the type of operating system, and since Kali Linux is a Linux operating system, we will select right here Linux. And the version, now this can be a little bit tricky if you don't know, but luckily I'm here to tell you that Kali Linux is based on Debian, so we want to select here Debian 64-bit, or in case you have a 32-bit machine, you want to select Debian 32-bit. Since we downloaded the Kali Linux 64-bit and we have a 64-bit machine, we want to proceed with the version of Debian 64-bit. Let's click on Next. The next thing that it asks us is what RAM memory we want to give to this virtual machine. This is completely up to you. I'm just here to advise you that you should not go below 1 GB of RAM, and 2 GB of RAM is pretty much all you need. You don't need more than this. If you have like 4 GB of RAM or less, feel free to proceed by setting only 1 GB, but since I have more than 4 GB of RAM on my host machine, I can set here at least 2 GB. If you have like 32 GB of RAM on your host machine, you can even increase this up to 4 or 8 GB of RAM, depending on how fast you want your machine to work. Now, I'm completely fine with 2, so I'm just going to select 2048 MB, and I'm going to click on Next. Under the hard disk, it asks us for a couple of options. We just want to stick with the one that's already checked, which is create a virtual hard disk now, and we want to click on create. The hard disk file type will be VDI or VirtualBox disk image. Click on next. And storage on physical hard disk. Now, this is completely up to you. I'm just going to go with dynamically allocated, and you have the explanation of both of these right here. As it says, a dynamically allocated hard disk file will only use space on your physical hard disk as it fills up to the maximum fixed size, although it will not shrink again automatically when space on it is freed. And a fixed size hard disk file may take longer to create on some systems, but it is often faster to use. So a fixed size is indeed sometimes faster to use, but nonetheless, I'm just going to go with dynamically allocated and I'm going to click on next. And the last option, I believe, is how much disk size we want to give to our virtual machine. Now, I advise you not to go below 25 to 30 gigabytes of hard disk space. I'm just going to select here like 38, it doesn't really matter. You can give it more or less if you'd like, but don't go below 20 to 25 gigabytes. Otherwise your machine might not work, okay? Now that we selected all of this, we can click on Create. And as you can see, we created our first virtual machine. We have it right here, as well as we have its information on the right. We have its general information, system information, display settings, storage settings, and a bunch of other things that we're going to take a look at in the next video. This doesn't mean that our machine will work. We still have an operating system to install before being able to use this machine. For now, we only created it inside of VirtualBox. In the next video, we're going to add our Kali Linux operating system or ISO image that we downloaded from the official website, and we're going to install it inside of this virtual machine. And hopefully, by the end of next video, we will have a working Kali Linux virtual machine.